In the heart of Australia's picturesque Hunter Valley, a routine day turned into a dramatic rescue that would capture the attention of social media and news outlets alike. It was an ordinary morning in Laguna, a small, tranquil town known for its breathtaking landscapes and sprawling vineyards. A 23-year-old woman, whose name has not been disclosed, set out for a leisurely walk with friends on private property, eager to enjoy the beautiful outdoors. Little did she know that this day would take an unexpected turn. As the group strolled along an overgrown bush track, the woman accidentally dropped her phone. The device tumbled between two massive boulders, disappearing from sight. Instinctively, she decided to retrieve it, not anticipating the precarious situation that awaited her. As she leaned down to reach for the phone, the ground beneath her shifted unexpectedly. In an instant, she slipped face first into a narrow crevice, wedged between two towering rocks. The friends who had accompanied her were initially taken aback. All they could see were her feet, barely visible through the small opening. Panic set in as they realized the gravity of the situation. The crevice was about 3 meters deep, too deep for them to reach her, and they quickly understood that they would need to call for help. With no mobile signal in the remote area, one of them dashed off to find a phone while the others attempted to comfort their trapped friend. Hours passed, and as time stretched on, concern grew. Rescuers from the New South Wales Ambulance Service received the call for help, and among them was specialist rescue paramedic Peter Watts. Upon arriving at the scene, Watts was struck by the complexity of the situation. "My initial thought was, how are we going to get her out of here? Because I've never come across this," he later recalled. The scene before him was a challenging blend of trench and confined space rescues, requiring a delicate and meticulous approach. As the rescue team gathered, they assessed the scene. The woman was trapped about 50 meters down an overgrown bush track, where off-road vehicles could not reach. The only visible part of her were her soles, her feet peeking out from between the rocks. As she crawled into this little hole, she slipped and slid about 3 meters down a chute and got stuck, Watts explained. The situation was precarious. Any sudden movement could worsen her predicament. The team quickly devised a plan. They needed to remove several large boulders to get closer to her. However, every rock they moved posed a risk of falling onto her. The rescuers communicated with her, advising her to remain still to minimize the risk of further slipping down. "We were concerned that any time we moved a rock, if it fell in the wrong direction, it was going to fall down on top of her," Watts said. The pressure of being upside down for so long weighed heavily on everyone's minds. Rescue efforts commenced involving police, ambulance, fire, and volunteer rescue crews working together in unison. For the next 7 grueling hours, the team toiled under the weight of the rocks and the looming anxiety of the situation. It was not merely about physical strength, it was a test of patience and precision. Rescuers took their time, carefully assessing each boulder before deciding how to shift it. After hours of painstaking labor, they finally managed to remove enough debris to reach her feet. However, the final boulder, weighing a staggering 500 kilograms, 1,100 pounds, remained a formidable obstacle. The team employed a winch to assist in the removal process, using timber to stabilize the massive rock and prevent it from shifting dangerously. "We used a winch to pull that out of the way," Watts recounted. With the last boulder cleared, the real challenge began, maneuvering her body out of the crevice. The angle at which she had fallen meant that she couldn't be pulled straight up. Instead, she had to form an S shape, twisting her legs from one side to the other. "Once we got her hips out, then we had to move her legs back around to the left-hand side to get her shoulder out," Watts described. Through it all, the trapped woman remained remarkably calm. While others might have succumbed to panic, she held her composure, much to the astonishment of the rescuers. "She was so calm and collected through the whole thing. I was very impressed," Watts admitted. Yet, moments of silence from her raised concern. The team was worried about the effects of being upside down for such an extended period, fearing that the pressure could cause discomfort or harm. Finally, around 4:30 p.m., after hours of collaborative effort, she was freed from her rocky confinement. As soon as she emerged, a wave of relief washed over her. Although she felt dizzy and exhausted, she was lucky to escape with only minor scratches and bruising. She was tired, and she was quite dizzy. All of her blood was in her head, and she had nothing in her legs, so she couldn't really walk at that stage, Watts explained. The team wasted no time. She was transported to the hospital for observation. Miraculously, despite the harrowing ordeal, she was expected to make a full recovery. However, her phone, the very object that had led her into this predicament, remained trapped between the boulders, a silent testament to the day's chaos. In the aftermath of the rescue, social media lit up with reactions. Images of the incident, particularly the striking sight of her feet peeking from the rocks, circulated widely. Many expressed disbelief at how such a simple mistake could lead to such a dramatic situation. The rescue operation was lauded as a testament to the dedication and teamwork of the emergency services. As the story spread, it served as a reminder of the unpredictability of nature and the importance of safety while exploring the outdoors. The woman, having faced a life-altering experience, emerged with a newfound appreciation for life and a story that would forever remain etched in her memory. She not only learned a valuable lesson about the perils of hiking in remote areas but also about the strength of human resolve and the power of community in times of crisis. The event left a lasting impact on the local community, inspiring discussions about safety measures and preparedness for outdoor adventures. People began sharing their own stories of near misses and the lessons they learned. For the young woman, life would resume its normal pace, but she would carry the experience with her, a unique bond forged with the rescuers who worked tirelessly to save her. As for her phone, while it might remain trapped, the real treasure was the second chance at life she had been granted, a reminder that sometimes the most unexpected situations can lead to profound moments of clarity and connection. Her story is a testament to resilience, a narrative that will surely inspire others to be cautious while exploring the beauty of the wild. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm golden hue over the Hunter Valley, the 23-year-old woman sat in the hospital, still processing the day's events. She was grateful to be alive, yet her thoughts lingered on her phone, still trapped between the boulders. It had held precious memories, photos from trips with friends, important messages, and cherished moments. While the device was merely material, the experiences it contained were invaluable. After being examined, the doctors assured her she would recover quickly, but the real healing would take time. With her friends by her side, they reflected on the ordeal. They laughed at their initial panic and the sheer absurdity of the situation. Who knew a phone could lead to such chaos? One of her friends joked, breaking the tension. It was a small moment of levity amid the relief that filled the room. Meanwhile, the rescue team had not forgotten about the woman's phone. The next day, local authorities organized a follow-up operation to retrieve it. The team, now familiar with the area and the unique challenges posed by the boulders, prepared for another venture into the wild. This time, they were armed with tools designed for confined spaces and a deep sense of determination. Peter Watts, the paramedic who had led the initial rescue, returned to the scene. He was joined by a skilled team of firefighters and volunteers. They knew the task ahead would be delicate, the boulders were still precarious, and safety was their utmost priority. As they approached the crevice, Watts couldn't help but admire the landscape, the lush greenery surrounding the rocks, the distant sounds of nature, and the eerie silence that had fallen since the rescue. The team worked meticulously, moving smaller rocks first to assess the situation. The challenge lay not just in removing the larger boulders but in ensuring that they did not disturb the surrounding area. They used ropes and pulleys, carefully calculating each movement. Hours passed, and the tension in the air grew palpable. Would they be able to retrieve the phone without causing a collapse? Just as doubt began to creep in, one of the firefighters spotted a glimmer of light between the rocks. "I think I see it," he exclaimed, pointing toward a shiny object nestled among the rubble. Excitement surged through the team as they gathered around, hearts racing with hope. Using a combination of teamwork and ingenuity, they devised a plan to reach the phone without risking further injury to themselves or the fragile rock structure. With careful maneuvering, they removed the final boulder that had been blocking the phone's path. Slowly they reached in, fingers trembling with anticipation. The moment they retrieved the device, a cheer erupted among the team. It was a small victory, but it felt monumental. They took a moment to celebrate before packing up the equipment, feeling a sense of satisfaction for both the rescue they had conducted earlier and the retrieval of the phone. Back at the hospital, the woman's friends had been anxiously awaiting news. When Peter Watts and his team walked in, holding the phone triumphantly, gasps of disbelief filled the room. "You won't believe what we've got," Watts announced with a grin. The woman's eyes widened in surprise, and she jumped up from her chair, her heart racing with joy. As they handed her the phone, relief washed over her. Thank you so much," she exclaimed, her voice filled with emotion. It felt as if the events of the previous day had come full circle. The phone was not just a device, it was a tangible link to her memories, a piece of her life that had been momentarily lost, but was now returned. That evening, the woman and her friends gathered around her hospital bed, their spirits high. They spent hours scrolling through the phone, sharing laughs and reliving moments captured in photos. The experience had brought them closer together, forging bonds of friendship strengthened by adversity. They promised to be more cautious on their adventures in the future, recognizing the unpredictability of nature. As she prepared to leave the hospital, the woman reflected on her ordeal. It had been a harrowing experience, but it had also been enlightening. She realized how fragile life could be and how important it was to cherish every moment. She had faced fear and uncertainty, but she had also encountered resilience and teamwork in its purest form. In the days that followed, the story of her rescue and the retrieval of her phone circulated in the local community. It served as a reminder of the importance of safety while exploring the outdoors. The woman began sharing her experience, using social media not just to recount her tale but to raise awareness about hiking safety. Her post resonated with many, sparking discussions about precautions and the unpredictability of nature. Eventually, she returned to the Hunter Valley, this time with a deeper appreciation for its beauty. Accompanied by her friends, she stood at the edge of the very crevice where the incident had occurred, now filled with a sense of gratitude rather than fear. They took a moment to reflect, recognizing that every adventure carries risks, but it's also an opportunity to create lasting memories. With the sun setting behind the hills, she felt a sense of closure. Life had thrown her an unexpected challenge, but she had faced it head-on, emerging stronger and more aware of the world around her. As she took a deep breath of the crisp, fresh air, she smiled, knowing that the experience, though frightening, had ultimately enriched her life. It was a reminder to cherish the little things, to embrace the moments of joy, and to always be cautious in the wild.